Hey guys, what's going on? Jamie here. Wanted to do another set of updates for you guys. We'll talk about some of these miners. We'll check in on them. I haven't had a chance to really take a look over the weekend. Was busy, but we're going to check in on them right now. We'll see what's going on in the contract. I'll probably do a couple of withdrawals live on this video. I know some of you guys like that. Some of you guys don't. Well, we'll go do it anyways. Then we'll talk about some of these different platforms that are having some issues. um yeah, I mean, it's just another, it's never a boring day in crypto, right? We'll talk about some of these IDOs or private sales that are coming up, some that have aren't taken off as much as a lot of people had hoped for, specifically Panda Enu. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, we'll just kind of run through these as we go through the video. Of course, it goes without saying that everything I talk about on my channel is for entertainment purposes only. Definitely not giving you financial advice. Like, why would you take financial advice from a stranger on YouTube? Doesn't make any sense, right? Okay, do your own homework, do your own due diligence. You do decide to get in and you have the high tolerance for risk, because I want to be very clear with you, all of this is high risk. Then and only then should you put in what you can afford to lose, guys. Okay, risk capital only. If you can put something in and then walk away, and if something were to go sideways, you're okay, that's risk capital, right? If you are putting something in and you can't walk away if something were to go sideways, and then you're an emotional wreck, that is not risk capital, guys. It's very important that you only put in what you can afford to lose. Like, this space is super risky and it can be very, very fun, but it can also be very, very stressful if you're putting in funds that you're not supposed to be putting into into these platforms. So again, I just want to be clear with you guys about that. Hopefully you guys are taking that to heart. Of course, follow me on Telegram if you haven't already, guys. I will leave a link for that down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, hit subscribe, hit the little bell icon. That way, whenever I post a brand new video, you'll get notified straight away. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into them. I'm going to try to do it as fast as I possibly can. I know the last video I did was almost an hour. Some of you guys like that stuff. Some of you guys don't. Never can please everybody. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It was more like a short podcast, if anything. This one here, this video, I'll try to do it as fast as I can, but also give you the details that you need, that you're probably looking for. So that being said, quick look at the market. Bitcoin doing its thing. 56,695 is where it's sitting at right now, getting closer and closer to that 60K mark. Ethereum sitting at 3,500 right now. Hex, I'm still doing good. It says here that it's a negative 2.5% over the last 24 hours. But those of you guys that have been sitting on Hex when it was a penny, less than a penny, I mean, you guys are very, very happy right now. I'm still buying Hex at these prices and staking them, because again, you're getting 40%, an average of 40% a year staking Hex. So anyway, we'll talk about Hex another time. Cardano 2.2 $2.21. Binance still hanging tough, over $400. So yeah, looks a little bit red right now, but Bitcoin doing its thing. So very, very excited about that. Let's talk about drip, guys. You can see here the price of drip is sitting at $15.24. Yeah, this thing is kind of doing its up and down thing right now. And as long as for me, as long as I'm getting my 1% in the faucet, as you can see right here, I'm good to go. You know what I mean? I'm good to go. The 1% a day, until you hit 365%, that kind of takes the edge off of these crazy price up and down swings, right? Unless you like that. Some of you guys might like that up and down swing. Maybe you're arbitrage trading a little bit. But, for me, I don't really do that sort of stuff. I don't like being glued in front of my computer and laptop stressing out over price. For me, I like to get things, put it in, set it, forget it, 1% a day, I'm good to go, right? So again, get into the faucet. I know some of you guys might be holding off on getting into the faucet because you're holding off for the miner, and that's fine too. But yeah, get in both. Like, one shouldn't replace the other. You should have a position in the faucet, have a position in the miner that's coming up, and then rock with both of them, right? Because I think each has its own benefits, right? Each has its own benefits. So yeah, still going strong with drip. The private sale for Manor Farm, I believe it's on Thursday. Last I heard it was on Thursday. I didn't hear any, I didn't hear otherwise. So that's the private sale. And then they'll obviously move quickly into the public sale. And then, it's a 14-day thing. Then they'll launch the animal farm. A lot of people are, super stoked about the drip liberation, getting into the drip miner, myself included. Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I think there's still people hitting me up saying, hey, how do I put drip into the contract? Again, what you're doing is you're depositing BUSD, okay? You're depositing BUSD to get the drip BUSD LP token. So half of your BUSD goes into buying drip. The other half obviously stays as BUSD. You're going to get an LP token, and the LP token is what you're actually sticking into the miner. You can see right here, right? So you're actually sticking drip BUSD LP tokens here. You're going to get paid out 3% a day. Again, that'll fluctuate, I'm assuming also, but you'll get paid out in drip BUSD LP tokens. Okay. So yeah, read about this yourself. You can go through all this stuff here. The white paper is on the website. I did a video, an extensive video on this. You can check that out. But yeah, this is this is the next big thing coming, I believe. BNB Miner. This is the original miner where all of these other forks stem from. This one here, you can see the contract slowly coming down. It was at 7,000 BNB at its height, 7,000 and change. It's now at 6,300. So yeah, people are, as I mentioned before numerous times, when you have all these other forks, all these other clones, typically what happens, and we've seen this happen with lending platforms back in 2017. We saw this happen with, the super wallet craze back in, what year was that? 2018, 2019, I don't know, whatever. I mean, the miners are the same thing. You see a bunch of them launching and a bunch of them, coming out. Of course, people are going to take dividends from, the main one and start putting it into these different clones, hoping to get in early. Again, nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. That's the nature of the market. And then what happens is the original starts to come down a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. I want this thing to recover. Believe me. I have 5.7 BNB. I'm going to withdraw that. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Sometimes you got to lock in these profits. So I know some of you guys want to compound. I've had some conversations with people on Telegram. What's the strategy? What are you doing? I never tell people the strategy or what they should be doing. Everyone has their own strategy. If you watch my videos, or if you've been a long-time subscriber, when I used to talk about strategy, I stopped talking about strategy because, people will do their own thing, and people, I want people to figure out their own strategies. I don't want people to say, hey, I did your strategy and it didn't work. My strategy doesn't work all the time, okay? I do have a kind of like a blueprint, right? But, for those of you guys that want to compound, sometimes you got to lock in these profits. Sometimes you got to pull out what you put in, at least be whole. So if something were to go sideways in a negative manner, you will have your initial back, right? So anyway, that being said, yeah, 5.7 BNB. Okay. So yeah, we'll see what happens here with BNB Miner, right? BUSD farm, this is a 10% farm. Again, that does fluctuate, guys. The 10% a day fluctuates depending on what's going on with the contract. But as you can see right here, the vault has $874,000. Now this is down from about $1 million and change. So again, we'll see what happens here. I have about 4,600 here. I'm going to collect. Right. I know some of you guys are saying, "Oh man, you're collecting. You're draining the contract. You're draining the contract." I mean, you're forgetting that I put 23,000 in here, right? I mean, some of you guys are people bug me out sometimes. I get all sorts of hate posts or hate messages saying, "Hey, you're draining the contract. You're taking money out of the contract." What about the 23,000 that I put into the contract? Are you forgetting that? Like, what do you want me to do? Not pull profit and just, just so you put in your $500 so you can make your $500 back, take a loss on my 23,000. I mean, Come on, guys. I mean, this is a people, it just shows me that those are noobs. They haven't been around too long. They don't know how this thing works. They don't know how crypto works, right? Again, the name of the game here is profit. The name of the game here is to go out there, put a deposit into something, pull your profit, or pull your seed capital out until at least you're whole, and then from there you can compound. You can withdraw, do whatever you can. But the name is going to be is to be profitable. It's not to be not profitable with stuff, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right? I get people messaging me all the time. You're draining the contract. You're pulling out. What about the 80 or 90,000 I put into the contract? You forgetting that? I mean, anyway, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I don't flashback. Anyway, let's get back to business here. BNB 3.8496. This one here is dropping quite a bit too. But we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? Right now the contract is still, there's still over $500,000 in here, guys. There's 1,400 PNB. Again, it's an aggressive contract, right? It's a 10% contract. Of course, the contract, the 10% does start to die down, right? As the contract ages a little bit. Um, the percentages do die down, the yields do die down. That's why you want to get in super early. Whenever we take a look at something like this, we want to get in super early. Now, of course, there are some platforms that I don't get in early where I still jump in. But again, with these miners, you want to jump in super early. That's where you can kind of put yourself in the best position, right? If there's a miner that's already 2 days old or 3 days old, a lot of times people will send me stuff and I'm like, man, it looks good, but I'm just not going to jump in because it's already 2 days old or 3 days old. And the way these things work is you got to get in at the very, very beginning, right? Anyway, BUSD miner. This one here, you're supposed to be getting 12%. Again, the juice is dying down, I guess. I'm definitely not getting 12%. This is another example here of something that I got in maybe like a day late. And that's nobody's fault. That's my fault, right? I mean, I saw this, I was super busy, forgot about it, put it on the back burner, came back a day later and put in $1,000. Some of you guys saw that on that video. And I've only mined $127, right? In a couple of days. That's not 12%. But that's not, that's nobody's fault except mine. I came in a little bit late, right? I always accept responsibility for things that I do in crypto because nobody's holding a gun to my head. It's not the developer's fault. It's nobody's fault. I took a risk, right? Sometimes you got to take a risk. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. And you move on, right? I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, BUSD miner. So I mean, contract is still solid, right? It was at 136,000. Now it's down to about 129, but it's not like it's tanking right now, right? Well, obviously I'll keep a loose eye on it, but it's doing its thing. It's doing its thing. Cake miner right here. This one here is another one that's been out for 2 weeks, right? You can see here, they have this little chart now. The developer of this has all these different contracts. I'm not in any of these contracts, I believe, except for Cake. This one's been out for 2 weeks already. So of course the 3% a day, the yield has definitely slowed down quite a bit. It's still working. There's still over 1.2 million in the contract. I haven't calculated what the actual daily percentage is. I think it's, don't quote me on this, I think it's 1%. I gotta really, take pen to paper and watch this very closely. If you guys know, post it down under the comments. I'd love to find out. I know it's not 3% anymore because again, it's 2 weeks old. The yield has come down quite a bit. But again, it's a working contract. Even if you're getting 1%, I'm not telling you to jump into this, by the way. Okay, I'm not saying, hey, it's 2 weeks old, jump in. No, I'm not saying that. But if you are in it, just like myself, like I'm in it, right? It's still yielding, a certain percentage, right? Anyway, 65 cake. All right, so yeah, this one here is still still going strong. I mean, when I say strong, it's working, right? Shiba Inu, this one here, I haven't really looked. But yeah, okay, there's 108,000 still in the $108,000 worth of SHIB still in the contract. Got me about, what is this? 16.5 million SHIB here that I'm going to withdraw. Sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's not really. It's not really, right? SHIB is was it 0.00002? So I don't know, something like that. I gotta check. But yeah, it's still doing its thing. You know, I'm pleasantly surprised that the contract is still over $100,000. So yeah, we'll keep rocking with this XRP. I have 2,637 XRP. Contract has 164,000 XRP in it. By the way, this is not a 1 day's work. What you're seeing with my balances, it's not one. Some of you guys like that's not 1 day's work. No, it's not. I told you that last, was it 3 days? I've been kind of out of the loop, doing the whole traveling thing. I wish I could say I'm traveling for pleasure or taking a vacation, but I'm not. It's, doing college visits with my kid. He's looking to, compete at the D1 level for what he's doing, and we're doing official college visits. So it seems like every weekend I'm running all over the place. I actually just came back yesterday, and I'm actually leaving again today for a quick unofficial visit in and out, check out another university. But it is what it is, right? Anyway, not to go off on a tangent. So this is a couple of days worth. It's like 2 days worth, 3 days worth, something like that. ADA 682 ADA. There's still 161,000 ADA in the contract. So again, this one's not, plummeting. Of course, people are pulling profit, right? Because they're taking profits from this and jumping into whatever the new one that's coming out. I'm sure that's what is happening in the market. Can't confirm that 100%, but I've seen kind of the nature of these things play out with similar things in the past. But again, we'll see what happens here. Let's see, yeah, okay, there you go. Bitcoin right here, I have a 0.01 Bitcoin. That's about 500 and change. 3.896 Bitcoin still on the contract. This one here, we'll see what happens here. It's definitely lower. The contract is lowering a little bit. I think it was at 5 Bitcoin last time I checked, a couple of days ago. I didn't check, it didn't happen over 24 hours, but a couple of days ago it was at 5. Now it's at 3.8. I put 10K into this, right? So yeah, I'm kind of keeping a loose eye on this, seeing what happens, but I'm gonna withdraw what I had in there. I just kind of, let this thing run and play out. Rex, you guys already know what's going on with Rex. I mentioned in my last video. We'll see what happens. I have, what is this, 49,000 Rex. The price of Rex is pretty much, tanked. Some people have mentioned, hey, why don't you go buy a bunch of Rex right now with the price that it is, throw it into the miner, let it run. And yeah, that would definitely be a super degen play. I don't think I'm gonna do it, right? But someone does that, could be a big payoff, or they can get super wrecked. I'm certainly not going to go ahead and take that plunge. I'm already sitting on enough Rex right now that has lost its value. So I'm kind of just going to see what happens with 2.0. If it launches, if it doesn't, if it does good. I've never seen anything launch a 2.0 version in the years that I've been in the space that has been successful. I'm not saying that this is not going to be successful, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm going to see what happens. I'm certainly invested, right? I'm not selling my Rex it's already at a loss. I'm not going to sell it for a super loss. I want to see if the price comes up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I'm already invested enough to be interested to see what happens to 2.0. But again, not holding my breath. We'll see what happens. Cake Infinity Miner. This one here, how much is in the contract? 19,000 cake still in the contract. Let me pocket my 16.5 cake. This one here, I put $5,000 worth of cake. I've been withdrawing, nowhere near ROI at this point, right? Some of you guys are like, oh, you're draining the contract. I'm not definitely not ROI from this. I'm just gonna withdraw in hopes that I can ROI and the contract maintains itself. But it is a good way to multiply your cake. Let's face it, right? What's the other contract in here? Cake. Okay, banana. Those, they also launched the bunny miner. I didn't put anything into the bunny miner. Let me switch over to Matic real quick. All right, so let me switch over to Matic and then go to Hex, your Hex Miner. So this one's still holding up at 1.1 million hex. It's been kind of holding up above that 1.1 million mark now for a couple of days, which is good. I got 1,226 hex in the barrel. I'm going to withdraw now. Matic is super duper slow, so this will probably take a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing the video, but yeah, this one here is still doing its thing. It's working. Not the biggest fan of the Matic blockchain, but it's the only hex miner in the space, so jumped into it. But it is what it is. Let's take a quick look at ETH. This one's also on Matic. This is another one that I threw 10K into. I have 0.118615 ETH. Contract is sitting at 33.2 ETH. Let me pocket this. Oh, you're pocketing, you're draining the contract. No, I put 10K into this thing and I haven't, I don't even think I'm halfway ROI. I'm not even close, right? So before you get your panties in a bunch and start sending me, stupid Telegram messages, just do you, man. Do you. Do your thing. All right, so ETH, that's ETH, right? Let's take a quick look at the Tron Miner. This one here sitting at 761,000 TRX in the contract. This one here is dipping a little bit as well. It's not like plummeting, like, it's not dropping like crazy, but it's definitely, decreasing, right? Let me pocket my 3,629 TRX. All right, let me switch over back to BNB real quick. I have a whole other platforms here on BNB. All right, so let me hit on a couple of these other platforms, but that's what's going on with these miners essentially. Again, the key to these miners, guys, is to get in super early. If you can get in, when they launch, that's obviously the best position. If you can get in on day one, you're still good. Anything past that, when you're kind of like in day two, day three, you kind of missed it. Like for me, I'm not going to jump into something that's 2, 3, 4 days old, because now I know how these things work. And why jump into something that's 2, 3, 4 days old when there's another one coming, right? It's like these miners at this point, right? They're like buses, right? If you miss one, don't worry about it. There's another one coming, right? You just got to sit back patiently and see which one is going to launch and which one you can time it and get into. Of course, from a developer that has a track record, hopefully, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of these scams are going to be popping up. But don't no need to FOMO and jump into something that's quote unquote old when you can just kind of hang on and another one's going to launch. Anyway, let's talk about some of these other things real quick. Crypto futures. This one here is having some issues, guys. As you guys know, you watched my last video, they've changed their withdrawal process. Anytime a platform does that, man, that's definitely trouble, right? Give me 1 second here. I want to pull something up over on Telegram. I should have pulled up. Forgot. Okay. So over the weekend, I was on Telegram. Again, I wasn't really paying too much attention to the different platforms. I wasn't online in front of a computer, but I was on my phone. I was on Telegram looking at a couple things. And I did notice that there was an issue with people who went over to Punta Cana. If you guys have been following Crypto Future, they had a Punta Cana trip for producers. And I think there was like 40 or 45 leaders or affiliates that went over there. And then the CEO of the company who was supposed to be there didn't show up. So there were some people in the Telegram saying, hey, he didn't show up. Obviously, that's a red flag, right? So here's the official statement, right? So this is from the CEO. right? I apologize to all the leaders who were present in Punta Cana for not being able to be present. I'm sending this very important message to everyone and advising because I was solving internal problems of the company. As many of you know, we are in a high risk market. At any moment, everything could change. Since September 6th, crypto had a drastic fall down where Bitcoin was affected by more than 26%. ETH fell down by 35%. So basically, he's giving his, sob story of why he wasn't there. The company's having some issues. That's why they had to change the withdrawal features. Their crypto coin or whatever coin that they launched that I didn't get into and I didn't even promote or even talk about because I don't get into these coins by these passive platforms because I've never seen any one of them succeed. He's saying that was not as successful as they thought. So he's kind of giving his rundown of why things are not doing so well, right? Here's another thing. He said, my partners took a large part of the capital without any prior notice and they left me. Everyone is knowledgeable about the market and no one entered unaware of the risks. So I will be updating the news to the platform. We will be returning all to their pending commissions. So he's saying that any pending commissions, he's going to himself personally one by one see to it that they get sent out, but they're having some major issues. So if you are brand new and you haven't jumped into crypto future and you're maybe looking into it, hold off. Don't right now, right? If you are in crypto future like myself, again, I'm just kind of keeping a loose eye on it, seeing what happens. I'm going to wait till the dust settles because again, there's no sense in, watching this like a hawk every second, just I'm going to let the dust settle and then kind of come back to it and see what happens. Hopefully you're in a position where you were either ROI'd already, broke even or close to breaking even. If you got in early with this, because this platform's been around for a long time. It's been out for months. We talked about it months ago. If you got in early when we first started talking about it, you should be all right. Even if you were just a passive participant, you should be okay. You should be close to breaking even, if not broken even. Obviously, if you got in on the tail end, that's another story. But hopefully, you were only putting in what you can afford to lose. This is another example of why you should only be putting in what you can afford to lose, and you should be pulling out. You should be, pulling out, anytime you have an available balance, pull out until at least you've pulled out what you put in. Because you can never, these things happen. There's rug pulls, there's exploits in contracts, there's dev teams that, somebody goes rogue. We've seen this all before play out. So things happen with these things. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to let the dust settle and then maybe come back to it and do another update. But definitely hold off on, getting into this. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. He's saying he's going to, they're going to pay out all pending commissions, but they're having some issues. Anyway, that's what's going on with crypto future. Let's talk about another platform. We'll see what happens with this one. This is a Panda Enu. You can see here that they are only 15% into round 3. So again, this is like moving like a snail, right? So the first round, second round, they moved pretty quickly. Round 3, it's definitely it's definitely taking a lot slower than everyone expected. For me personally, I thought this would already be done. They're only up to 15%. We'll see what happens. They haven't really made an official announcement of what they're going to do. Maybe cut the round 3 short and just get started. It doesn't make sense for them to kind of keep round 3 running if it's not really moving. But again, we don't control this; they do. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. I don't really have, if anybody else heard of anything, post it down in the comments or hit me up. I'd love to find out if you heard of anything else. I haven't really heard of anything. So far, they're going to try to let this play out, but it'll take forever for them to do that. Other than that, the platform is working. The ECC dashboard is working. You can withdraw. It's the platform itself is working. It seems to me like they're more interested in EIFI right now than Panda Enu. I'm not in EIFI, but it seems like majority of the posts on their Telegram is revolving around EIFI, and they're not really talking about Panda Enu unless it's about NFT or something like that. But we'll see what happens here. I'm keeping a loose eye on this. Again, this is another thing that, it was a degen play from the start. Could be big, but it can definitely go sideways really quick. But we'll see what happens here. Taurus protocol, no real major updates for this. Wire token is still doing its thing. The platform is working. Elevate Pass, this thing is working as well. I'm not even going to bother to log in, but this is 2 months old now, a little bit over 2 months old. This one here has the ability to, and I think, right, it has the ability to run for a long time. It's pretty sustainable. I mean, it's not paying out ridiculous amounts. It only pays out up to 3% a week, right, which is up to 12% a month. So it's pretty conservative compared to other things that we're in or which we're seeing in the market. And then the affiliate plan isn't, overly aggressive as well. So it does have the ability to run for a long time because it's conservative. That being said, the drawback is, a lot of people in this market, have, they like the degen programs, right? So when they see something that pays out only up to 3% a week, they're like, oh man, I can get 3% a day in a miner. Let me jump into that. And rightfully so. I do the same, right? I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is. But we'll see, right? So, but it is working. The platform is working fine, no issues, and it is doing its thing. Swap it. I think this is the last day, if not yesterday, but I think today's the last day to upgrade to the Legend Pack at the original price of 5,000. It's after today, it's going to be $10,000 for a Legend Pack, and I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then iHub, Helium, Helium's still doing its thing. Again, I'll be doing a video on how my miner is working, but I want it to run so I have some real data. Other than that, you can build your team with iHub Global if you like. We just had an influx of people join over the weekend. I was checking my email notifications. I saw a lot of people joining. So yeah, I mean, this can be a big thing. And again, there's no really risk to you because you're not coming out of pocket for anything. So I mean, hey, go ahead and check it out. I will leave the link down below. So that's pretty much it, guys. Lots of stuff, that we're playing around with here. Some working really, really well. Some, not working so well, right? Some of these things are having some issues. Case in point, crypto future, Panda Enu round 3 or the private sale. So we'll keep a loose eye on that. That being said, on the positive note, some of these miners are still, doing their thing. We have a drip that's consistent. That's the home base if you want to get into something that's been running with no issues. Obviously, you might say, well, the price coming down is an issue. I mean, that's crypto, guys. Price is gonna come up and come down. I'm talking about the actual contract working. There's no issues. And then they have the miner coming up pretty soon with the Manor Farm and all that other good stuff. So anyway, sorry for the long video, guys. Lots to cover. Been out of the, I haven't made a video in a couple of days and I wanted to cover a couple of these things. Apologize for it going too long. But that's pretty much it, guys. Follow me on Telegram, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you like the content. If you don't, then that's fine too. And again, only put in what you can afford to lose after doing your own research. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Peace.